The red dust of Mars clung to everything like a possessive lover, its fine particles finding their way into the smallest crevices of our equipment, our habitat, and even our minds. As I stood on the rust-coloured plains of Solis Planum, watching the alien sun dip below the horizon, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were trespassers in a realm that had slumbered undisturbed for eons. I'm Captain Jordan Greaves, veteran of 5 lunar expeditions and now leader of the first long-term Martian outpost. My crew and I had been tasked with setting up a base, initiating mining operations, and paving the way for future colonies. At least, that was the official story. The truth, known only to the senior members of our team, was far more intriguing and terrifying. Anomalies in the planet's magnetic field, pulses of energy from deep beneath the surface, had caught the attention of our superiors back on Earth. They whispered of ancient life, or worse, a looming catastrophe. We were here to investigate, to uncover secrets that Mars had kept hidden for millennia. Our team was a carefully selected group of 6, each bringing unique skills and personalities to the mission. Dr. Elias Chen, our lead geologist, possessed a brilliant mind that was often at odds with her sharp tongue. I'd seen her reduce interns to tears with a few well-chosen words, but her expertise was unmatched. Keon Ibarra, our soft-spoken biologist, carried an intensity in his dark eyes that unnerved me. He spent hours staring at soil samples, muttering to himself in a language I couldn't understand. I often wondered what secrets he saw in the Martian dust. Rhys O'Connor, our engineer, was a stark contrast to Keon's intensity. With his easy smile and laid-back attitude, he kept the mood light during the long, isolating days. But when things got tense, Rhys had a habit of disappearing into his work, emerging days later with bloodshot eyes and trembling hands. Dr. Mei Liao, our medical officer, carried herself with a quiet grace that belied her steely determination. I'd seen her perform miracles in the field hospitals on Earth, and I was grateful to have her steady hands on this mission. Marcela Vega, our communications officer, was a last-minute addition to the team. Her background was more military than scientific, a fact that raised eyebrows among the crew. But her quick wit and adaptability soon proved invaluable. As for me, I carried the weight of 5 successful lunar missions on my shoulders, along with the responsibility of bringing everyone home safely. But Mars was different. Mars was unpredictable. And as I stood there watching the alien sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink, I couldn't shake the feeling that this mission would test us in ways we couldn't imagine. The first few days on the Red Planet were a blur of activity. We set up our habitat, a series of interconnected domes that would shield us from the harsh Martian environment. The whir of atmospheric scrubbers and the hum of generators became the constant soundtrack to our lives. It was on the 3rd day that everything changed. The hum started as a barely perceptible vibration, more felt than heard. At first, we dismissed it as equipment feedback, a quirk of our life support systems adjusting to the alien environment. But as the days wore on, the hum grew louder, more insistent, seeming to emanate from the very ground beneath our feet. "It's nothing to worry about," Rhys assured us, his fingers dancing over the diagnostic screens. "Probably just some underground thermal activity. This is an alien planet after all." But his easy smile didn't quite reach his eyes, and I noticed the way his hands shook as he adjusted the readings. That night, the dreams began. I found myself wandering through vast underground caverns, their walls pulsing with an otherworldly light. Something moved in the shadows, always just out of sight, its presence a weight on my mind. I woke gasping for breath, the sheets tangled around my legs, the taste of iron on my tongue. At breakfast the next morning, I noticed the dark circles under everyone's eyes, the haunted looks they exchanged when they thought no one was watching. We had all dreamed, and those dreams had left their mark. Dr. Elias, ever the pragmatist, tried to rationalize our shared experience. "It's just our brains adjusting to the new environment," she said, her voice carrying a forced casualness. "We've all been through this before. Remember the lunar nightmares? But this felt different. The lunar nightmares had been born of isolation and the stark alienness of our surroundings. These dreams felt invasive, as if something was reaching into our minds, probing, searching. A week into the mission, we made our first significant discovery. Deep in a nearby canyon, buried beneath layers of Martian rock, we found something that defied explanation. It was a structure, angular, metallic, and impossibly ancient. "This shouldn't be here," Dr. Elias whispered, her usual bravado replaced by awe and a hint of fear. "Nothing like this should exist on Mars." "How did we miss this in the scans?" Reese asked, his voice tight with confusion and a growing unease. Marcella, her military training evident in her stance, answered, "It's buried deep." Whatever it is, it was hidden intentionally. The implications of her words hung heavy in the air. Who, or what, had built this structure? And why had they gone to such lengths to conceal it? We began the excavation immediately, working around the clock to uncover the secrets hidden beneath the Martian soil. The structure was vast, stretching deep into the planet's crust, far larger than anything we had anticipated. It took days to clear even a small section, but what we uncovered was nothing short of extraordinary. The walls were covered in strange symbols, alien, yet hauntingly familiar. They resembled glyphs found in ancient Earth civilizations, but with a distinctly otherworldly twist. Keon was particularly fascinated by them, spending hours staring at the symbols, tracing them with his fingers as if trying to unlock their meaning. "I've seen these before," he murmured one night, his voice barely audible over the comms. "In my research, in the deep records." "What do you mean?" I asked, but he just shook his head, his eyes never leaving the alien script. "Nothing. It's probably just a coincidence." But the tremor in his voice and the intensity of his gaze told a different story. There was something about the structure that felt alive, as if it was waiting for us to uncover its secrets. And the deeper we went, the stronger the humming became, vibrating through the rock, through our suits, and into our very minds. Then, the first accident happened. We were working late, trying to map out the interior of the structure when one of the support beams collapsed. Reese was the first to react, rushing in to stabilize the wall, but in the chaos, Dr. Liao was trapped beneath the debris. "We need to get her out," I shouted, but the weight of the structure was too much. By the time we managed to pull her free, it was too late. She was gone, her body broken and still beneath the unforgiving Martian sky. The loss hit us hard, a stark reminder of the dangers we faced on this alien world. But even as we mourned, we couldn't stop. There was something in the structure, something important. And the deeper we went, the more obsessed we became with finding it. Days blurred into weeks as we continued our descent into the heart of the alien construct. The atmosphere changed the deeper we went, becoming thicker, heavier, as if something ancient and powerful was pressing down on us. Keon was the first to break. He started muttering to himself, staring at the symbols on the walls with a manic intensity. "They're not just symbols," he whispered one night, his eyes wide and bloodshot. "They're instructions. It's a map. It's showing us the way." "The way to what?" I asked, but he didn't respond. He just kept muttering, tracing the symbols with his fingers, lost in a world only he could see. Then, without warning, he disappeared. We searched for him for hours, combing through the structure, calling his name over the comms, but there was no sign of him. It was as if he had vanished into thin air, swallowed by the very walls of the alien construct. "We need to leave," Marcella said, her voice shaking with fear. "Something is wrong here. We're not supposed to be here." But we couldn't leave. Not yet. There was something deeper, something we hadn't uncovered, and I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever it was waiting for us. The humming grew louder, more insistent, and the walls seemed to pulse with a strange energy. I started having the dreams again, dreams of vast underground cities pulsating with light, and a presence that watched us from the shadows. In these dreams, I saw Keon, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light, beckoning me deeper into the heart of Mars. Then Dr. Elias disappeared. I was the last one left. Marcella had been right. We weren't supposed to be here. Whatever was down there, it was ancient, powerful, and malevolent. It had been waiting for us, drawing us in, feeding on our curiosity, our fear. The structure wasn't just a building, it was a gateway, a door to another world, one that was never meant to be opened. I made my way to the heart of the structure, the humming now deafening, vibrating through my entire body. The walls pulsed with a sickly green light, and the air felt thick, suffocating. In the center of the room, I saw it, a vast, swirling vortex of energy, pulsating with light and shadow. It was alive, sentient, and it had been waiting for us. I felt its presence in my mind, probing, searching, trying to understand me. And then I understood. The symbols weren't just a map. They were a warning that we had ignored in our hubris and our hunger for discovery. The vortex pulsed, and I felt a sudden surge of fear, panic rising in my chest. I turned to run, but the walls seemed to close in around me, trapping me in the room with the vortex. And then I saw them, Keon, Elias, Reese, and Liao, standing at the edge of the vortex, their eyes glowing with the same sickly green light that pulsed from the walls. They weren't dead. Not exactly. But they weren't alive either. They had been consumed by the vortex, absorbed into its energy, and now they were part of it. "Join us," they whispered in unison, their voices hollow and echoing in my mind. I backed away, my heart pounding in my chest, but there was nowhere to go. The vortex was pulling me in, drawing me closer, and I could feel its power, its hunger. It wanted me. I fought against it, but the pull was too strong. I felt myself being drawn closer and closer to the vortex, the energy wrapping around me like tendrils, pulling me into its depths. And then, everything went black. I woke up on the surface of Mars, the red dust swirling around me. The structure was gone, the anomaly had disappeared, and the crew was nowhere to be found. I was alone. I tried to contact HQ, but the comms were dead. The habitat was empty, and the rover was gone. There was no sign that anyone had ever been here. But I wasn't alone. Not really. I could feel it in my mind, the presence that had consumed my crew. It was still there, lurking in the shadows, watching me, waiting for the right moment to strike. I stared out at the red horizon, the dust swirling in the wind, and I knew that I would never leave this place. Mars had claimed me, just as it had claimed the others. There was no escape. I stumbled back toward the habitat, desperate to piece together what had happened. But as I entered, a cold chill ran down my spine. Something wasn't right. The lights flickered, the air was thick with a metallic taste, and the timestamps on the logs didn't match. The date was 2 years in the future. Panic seized me. It was impossible. We had only been on Mars for a few weeks, but the system showed that I had been here for over 2 years, and yet I had no memory of it. I ran through the habitat, calling out for my crew, searching for any sign of them. The rover tracks led back to the structure, as if they had gone there willingly, but there was no record of their return. I retraced my steps to the structure. It loomed in the distance, larger now, more ominous. The hum was gone, replaced by an eerie silence. The walls pulsed faintly with light as if they were still alive, still watching. And in the center of the chamber, where the vortex had once swirled, I saw something new. A pedestal. On it, a helmet. My helmet. The visor was cracked, blood smeared across the inside. My name was etched into the side, J. Greaves. I reached out, trembling, and touched it. Instantly, memories surged through my mind. Memories I had lost, memories of dying over and over again in this place. I had been here before. I had died here. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. The structure wasn't just a building, it was a prison, a trap designed to lure us in, to feed on us, to keep us here in an endless loop. We had been caught in its web the moment we landed, and now we were part of it. The 2 years I had lost weren't lost at all. I had lived them. I had died during them. Again and again. The structure had wiped my memory and reset the cycle. The crew, they hadn't disappeared. They were still here, trapped in the same loop, living and dying, their minds shattered by the endless cycle. The presence that had been watching us from the beginning wasn't just malevolent. It was us. We were the anomaly. We had become part of the machine, feeding it with our lives, our deaths, our fear. I staggered back, horror gripping my chest. There was no escape. There had never been an escape. As I left the structure, I saw them. Keon, Elias, Reese, Marcella, standing at the edge of the canyon, waiting, their eyes glowing with the same sickly light. "Join us," they whispered, their voices hollow. And I realized with bone-chilling clarity that I already had. The mission would reset, the cycle would begin again, and each time we would return to Mars, explore, and die. Over and over, forever. I whispered to the Martian wind as the last of my memories slipped away. Welcome home. Mars had claimed us all, and in the vast, uncaring expanse of the cosmos, our endless cycle of discovery and death would continue, a testament to human curiosity and the unfathomable mysteries of the universe. As the red dust settled around me, I felt a strange sense of peace. We'd come to Mars seeking answers, and in a way, we'd found them. The price was our humanity, our very existence, but in becoming part of this alien world, we'd achieved a kind of immortality. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the Martian landscape. In the gathering darkness, I could see the faint glow of the structure in the distance, calling to me, promising answers and oblivion in equal measure. I took a step forward, then another. The cycle was beginning anew, and I had a role to play. As I walked towards my destiny, I couldn't help but wonder how many times had I made this journey before? How many more times would I make it? The whispers of Mars echoed in my mind, ancient and inscrutable. And as I stepped into the maw of the alien structure once more, I realized that I was no longer just Jordan Greaves, captain of a doomed mission. I was Mars, and Mars was me. The red planet had its secrets, and now, so did I. Together we would wait for the next team of explorers, drawn by the siren song of discovery, and when they came, we would be ready to welcome them home.